WTOL-TV, Toledo. Straight from the newsroom, this is Toledo 11 News.
Just another day on the job for a YMCA worker.
Until she came across this.
Were set up and students were painting welcome signs.
It wasn't quite the thrill of the open road, more like the parking lot of Perrysburg Commons.
It will make a stead view.
Just about the only event making news today.
2,000 carryout orders were handled.
Hey, here we are on WTOL 11 Plus, and welcome into another edition of The Vault with me, Dan Cummins. We're heading back to the 90s, June of 1993 to be exact. Hot, and not just the weather. This week, we're day tripping to the Lake Erie Islands. Looking ahead because fireworks weren't just for the 4th, and we're heading to Russia. So dig out those Umbros, crank up that cassette deck for a trip back in time. Here we go, June 22nd, 1993, a time when families headed to the theater to learn life finds a way. They sat down to watch one clever girl in the top film of the time, Jurassic Park. So, hold on to your butts. Jeff Heitz takes us to Wyandotte County for a prehistoric dig.
The short-faced bear stood about 5'6" to 6 feet tall at the shoulder. It had long legs and could run almost as fast as a modern horse. And there's nothing like it alive today.
The bones of several extinct animals have been found near Cary at the Indian Trail Caverns. Today, the Marathon Oil Company joined forces with the Cincinnati Museum of Natural History to turn the site into an outdoor fossil laboratory. The company, which processes a fossil fuel, presented the museum with a check for $30,000.
We know where the entrance is. We might have some clue of how the animals fell in.
Children from area schools joined the search for new remains.
Well, we took these little tools and we sort of scraped the dirt away and put it in the bucket. Then we're going to clean the dirt in the bucket and see if there's any fragments of bones and stuff.
Scientists have been working on this site since 1989. The Cincinnati Museum says the sinkhole is impressive because it's one of the few where several types of prehistoric animals were found together.
Just picture a scene of this bear pursuing its prey and coming along to the edge of this thing, running full speed and not being able to stop, all of them tumbling into that, into the cave site here. And then that's where they met their end.
While some people spent the day digging in the dirt, others were suiting up and cycling for a slice. They hopped on that Trek or Schwinn, maybe even a Specialized of Cannondale bike, and pedaled on to Bowling Green. Pizza Fest. And we're not talking Pizza Hut, Domino's, or Little Caesars. Dick Berry is training for the Pizza Olympics.
Tent City at Bowling Green State University. Most of the riders in the Great Ohio Bicycle Adventure call it a night. But some are ready for a pizza adventure. The cyclists are ready to party hardy, even after a long 50-mile trek from Wauseon. Forget about riding a bike, though. A bus delivers them downtown to the Taste of Bowling Green Pizza Fest. Now, it's no coincidence this event is taking place the same night nearly 3,000 cyclists ride into town. Sponsors say they wanted an excuse to get them downtown to Bowling Green, and why not do it with pizza?
BG has more than a dozen pizza places. It's something people remember Bowling Green for is the pizza.
There will be no voting to determine the best pizza in town, but there is competition for best dough tosser. Carlos Maldonado is in training for the Pizza Olympics next year in Las Vegas. No kidding. His coach is also his boss.
Whatever's most comfortable for them. Like they like to go spin on their right hand, they like to throw with their left hand. Some people spin on the top of their hand or on the bottom of their hand. You know, like Carlos, he likes to run in his neck a lot of times.
But the winner on this night is Marty Wilson. He's been tossing for 20 years.
It's all keeping the momentum in the right direction. Keeping it with the wrist, keeping it moving with the flow.
Next stop for the Great Ohio Bicycle Adventure is Bluffton. And riding a bike with thousands of others is like tossing dough. You just go with the flow. In Bowling Green, I'm Dick Berry, Toledo 11 News. Night Watch.
It's June 23rd, 1993. Brave men and women serve our country as part of the U.S. military, but there's a ban on LGBTQ+ service members, a ban that wouldn't be lifted till the next year as part of the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy. But before that, Dick Berry took us to a church service of support.
The Good Samaritan Parish Metropolitan Community Church is a house of worship for Toledo area gays and lesbians. On this night, politics is in their prayers.
God, this night we ask that you inspire President Clinton, our military leaders and elected officials to work for justice.
And justice for this congregation of 100 is lifting the military ban on gays and lesbians. Part of their message is that people realize it's not a matter of their getting into the military.
We've been there all along. It's a message of justice, a message of peace. It's a message that we have a right to serve the country just like anybody else.
A gay choir member here was honorably discharged from the Navy. Like most of the people here, he doesn't want to be identified in our story. But he says 60 of his 150 shipmates were gay.
At first, I felt good to realize that I wasn't alone, but in the same sense, I felt kind of scared that I had to live a double life and couldn't tell anybody about it.
The service is part of a nationwide Lift the Ban campaign. 280 churches in 16 countries are taking part, all ministering to the gay and lesbian community.
We go to the house of God praying for peace while working for justice.
President Clinton is expected to make a decision on the ban sometime next month. Everybody in this church hopes their prayers are answered then.
Now, the same day, Toledo 11 spent some time seeking out a different type of service. We're talking hotels, cabs, restaurants, an entire industry. Melissa Vates showed us how hospitality is about more than just the tips.
Gary Newman's been a Toledo cab driver for 15 years, and he says while he always tries to treat his customers with respect, some others fail to extend the same courtesy.
Oh, when somebody asks for directions, they get a smart attitude and give them the wrong directions.
But city leaders are trying to point the area service industry in the right direction. They're sponsoring seminars on proper visitor etiquette.
If you're flying in and the first impression you get as you go to the rent-a-car counter or to get your luggage is someone that is less than knowledgeable or rude, that's the first impression you get of a community.
And the impression begins when visitors check in. Local hotels and motels are gearing up for one of their biggest seasons ever, especially with the LPGA, the PGA, and the air show coming to town.
Make sure that the parking is okay, any assistance that they need to their rooms. We have the bellman take their luggage, park the car, offer valet, let them know about area restaurants.
And city leaders say hospitality includes more than just a smile and a handshake. It means doing your best to sell Toledo.
And then we have a little list, like there's 101 things to do in Toledo that people don't know about, the art museum, the zoo.
Actually, if you choose not to be cordial to visitors this summer, it'll probably cost the city a lot more than just a couple of disgruntled letters. It'll cost some big money. Just in 1993 alone, visitors are expected to bring almost $600 million into the local economy. And city leaders say they hope everyone will do their part to make sure another city doesn't drive away with that money come next summer. Melissa Vates, Toledo 11 News.
Those servers in the industry were slinging suds in some cases. Customers were embracing light beers, even ice beers, hitting the U.S. market. Lawmakers took notice. In fact, they made some significant changes to keep people safe on the roads. But Dick Berry found out not everyone supported the new law.
Local lawyers meet to learn the ins and outs of Ohio's new drunk driving law. The man heading up the seminar says it's good the law focuses attention on the DUI problem. But Jerry Phillips has a problem with the law itself.
The practical approach or the practical implementation of this law is going to be almost impossible.
Penalties call for cops to take the offender's license on the spot if they fail or refuse a sobriety test. Officers will also issue a 15-day temporary driving permit to first-time offenders. The license suspension will then begin on the 16th day for the next 90 days. This bothers a local judge.
I just think that if somebody's been arrested for driving while under the influence of alcohol, that there should be immediate license suspension until they're permitted to appeal that at their initial court hearing.
In addition, the new law deals with habitual offenders. For a second DUI conviction, you'll have your license plate and registration impounded for 90 days. A third time, the vehicle is immobilized for 180 days. 4 times or more, your car is confiscated. Cops, lawyers, judges, and court administrators all say the law will overwhelm the judicial system with burdensome red tape. That's because more people will be coming into court.
I think there'll be less offenses charged, but only because there won't be sufficient manpower to enforce it and to carry out all the provisions.
A city prosecutor says initially the system will be bogged down, but the increased caseload can be tackled.
The system has enough room in it, enough flexibility that if we need to expand certain court dockets to handle more DUI cases, if we need to set up initial or different license suspension hearings, I think we can do it.
By June 24th, 1993, arcade games were testing players' skills and their coordination. Maybe it was NBA Jam, maybe Mortal Kombat, maybe it really was something from Atari. But Janice Lane found out from this next story, one young man's mom said those video games were a sign he'd be successful at something else.
He hardly ever misses. It's nice to see somebody who can shoot that well.
He has good hands and good eyes, and he's got magic in his cue.
He would always end up playing Atari, and I realized that he had really good eye-hand coordination. And then his grandfather started taking him to the pool hall and all kinds of things, and he was hitting balls, and they just started falling in. I look at it as just a natural ability from the Lord. He just has a lot of natural talents.
To do good in a tournament, you have to stay focused. You have to stay focused on what you're going to do. It's kind of weird. What you want to do is, sometimes I picture it is if I'm the cue ball and like where I want to walk around on the table, where I want to be for my next shot, because you have to be in a pinpoint spot for your next ball.
As the current Woodville Shootout champion for the 3rd year in a row and playing some of billiards greats in the Glass City Open, Houston is making a name for himself on the national scene. He has a Midwest tournament next weekend in Pennsylvania before he heads to Kansas City to compete against the best junior players in the nation.
He has a pretty good outlook on life. He appreciates the talent he has, and he knows that it's a gift that he is to use for a better benefit than just his own.
The High Q Billiards is sort of a home away from home for Josh, who practices up to 3 hours a day before a tournament. But are there long-range plans to put his accuracy to the test?
I would like to go to college and have my degree, so I always have something to fall back on too, so for the future.
Oh, okay, Josh, if you say so. Janice Lane, Toledo 11 News.
That was pretty good, huh? Vacation trends in the summer of '93 had people traveling overseas a little more. Many of those destinations were surrounded on all sides by water. But as you know, you don't have to go far from Northwest Ohio or Southeast Michigan to spend time on an island. Dick Bear is day tripping.
The sounds of summer, but expect to find peaceful sounds when you reach Kelly's Island. Think of it as the laid-back side of summer on Lake Erie.
The people who come here, who are they?
Oh, they're all different. Mostly families tend to come since it is known for being on the quieter side. We tend to draw the more mature audience.
Kelly's Island isn't silent by any means, with its own local hotspots and specialties.
This is one of our party establishments, Bag the Moon Saloon, noted for shish kebabs. Yeah, they're real good at that. Coming up on the Village Pump, noted for their brandy Alexanders and Lake Erie perch.
The commercial area covers only 1 block. The village was founded more than 100 years ago. 200 people live here year-round. The Kelly Island School has less than 20 kids attending. The high school class of '93 has 1 graduate. During the summer months, the population swells to about 1,000. One thing drawing visitors here is the rich Victorian heritage. The Sweet Valley Inn, one of 9 bed and breakfast establishments, was built more than 100 years ago.
It's one of the most well-preserved on the island, and it was owned by one family for 90 years. And they didn't change anything, so everything is just as it was many years ago.
Carriage rides, also available through the Sweet Valley Inn, are all in keeping pace with the rhythm of Kelly's Island.
Well, I think there's a peacefulness here that you can't find on the mainland sometimes. And people like to come over for a couple days and bike and hike and just relax and enjoy nature.
Part of the natural attractions include the glacial grooves, the largest in the world.
These were formed back in the Pleistocene age when the glaciers came down from the North Pole and they scored through the rock embedded, leaving this.
Like the island, the glacial grooves have played host to thousands of visitors. And as the summer continues its lazy way, so do the laid-back days on Kelly's Island, a casual place to do some day tripping.
On Father's Day 1993, a dad started a journey, a walk from Buffalo to Detroit. It's one measured not just in miles, but in frustration. He didn't do it for fitness or fame, but to make a point. Stephen Lattimore shares his message that justice shouldn't move this slowly.
Tony Trippi began his walk on Father's Day. 6 days and 354 miles later, he's made it. It's a long way from Buffalo to Toledo.
Mostly came out of frustration, but what I wanted to do is make a comparison with the slowness of the walk and compare it to the slowness of the court system and how they've been unresponsive to my needs as a father and my daughter's rights.
Tony says his ex-wife has denied him visitation of their 4-year-old daughter Katana for the past 3 Christmases, this Easter and Father's Day. His ex-wife lives in Detroit, so he decided to walk to Detroit to deliver papers to force his ex-wife to allow him visitation rights.
Just because you get a divorce, you don't divorce your children. It's something I never agreed. I never agreed to divorce my daughter, and I want to share in her life. I don't want to wait 15 years till she's old enough to decide that she wants to be part of my life.
Tony says the solution is to make establishing visitation a shorter process. Both parents also have to put aside their differences for the good of the child.
A lot of times what happens is people say, well, I would never do this, I would never do that. But then when you get other people talking, lawyers, you get friends of people talking to you, and you get a lot of ideas, and then all of a sudden it becomes more and more difficult to be civil about it.
As part of his welcome to Toledo, the local chapter of Fathers and Mothers for Equal Rights treated him to dinner.
Summer wasn't prime shipping season, at least not for one major business in 1993, but that didn't stop the American flag from flying for the first time ever along one route. And you might even recognize a younger woman in her story who has made history herself. He's Stephen Lattimore again.
This is usually a slow time for the Andersons. Spring wheat has already been shipped, and the traffic slows down until the fall harvest. This shipment is part of U.S. aid to Russia. The 1,400 tons of grain will be loaded here and shipped through the Great Lakes on U.S. flagged ships. Their destination is Montreal. From there, they'll go on to Russia. It's the first shipment on U.S.-owned lake freighters in 4 years.
This has not happened in the past, and that's why I feel it's very important, because it's going to be the first of many moves like this. It's going to keep this vessel in service and give the Great Lakes access to a new, tremendous supply of cargo.
So what's the big deal about a shipload of grain at the Andersons? Well, the grain means more business for farmers, and the ship means more employment for dock workers.
It means money for the Andersons, for Cargills, for Cargill, for Country Mark. It means money for the dock workers who work down here and those that work on the ships, the marine engineers and all the longshoremen. So it's a win-win-win for our region of the country.
One of the provisions of the aid package says grain must be shipped on government-owned ships. Up to now, there weren't any U.S.-flagged lake freighters small enough to make it through the St. Lawrence Seaway. The USS Monthy is small enough and allows Toledo to take advantage of more U.S. grain shipments.
We have always been outbid at the U.S. Department of Agriculture by carriers from the south, especially from the Gulf ports, from Galveston. This time, we had a wonderful company out of Cleveland, Interlake, that was able to submit a bid that was competitive and also meets the constraints of the St. Lawrence Seaway system. Where
the U.S. plans to ship between 50 and 100 shiploads of grain to Russia this summer. Officials say they want to get their fair share of those shipments. They estimate each one will pump $3 million into the local economy. Stephen Lattimore, Toledo 11 News.
It is June 27th, 1993. Fireworks stands popping up faster than lawn chairs at a backyard barbecue. But with the sizzle of summer fun comes the risk of serious injury. Stephen Lattimore sounded the alarm, urging families to think twice before lighting that next fuse.
It's a smorgasbord of fireworks. With the 4th of July just a week away, the customers are now beginning to trickle into area fireworks shops. Some are stocking up early, but while you shop for the biggest bang you can get, you should know the laws governing fireworks.
To purchase fireworks here, you have to sign a waiver form stating that you will be taking the merchandise directly out of the state, unless it's this is all Michigan items that are legal for use in the state of Michigan.
Other restrictions say they can only shoot 12 feet in the air and they can't spin or bang. In Ohio, smoke balls are allowed, as are sparklers and party poppers, basically Class C fireworks. Problems occur when people buy and explode illegal fireworks.
The only way that you could get a finger blew off is with the illegal fireworks, the M80s, M100s, cherry bombs, silver salutes, everything that is bought illegally on the street. Class C fireworks really cannot hurt people if they're used properly.
The hot items this year are tanks that shoot sparks, hens that lay sparkling eggs, their heads also pop off. Bottle rockets are always very popular, and this year is no different. The best advice retailers can give to make the holiday a safe one is use your head.
Always read your directions on your fireworks. Never, ever hold anything in your hand, no matter what it is. Never hold it in your hand. Never drink, use alcohol while you're using fireworks. And basically just use common sense with them.
Finally, what's summer without some camping? We're not talking tents and fires. No, this is all about nature, even a snake with a surprise. Here's Mary Lou Johannick.
What else did you find today? Any other forms of habitat? Did you find any?
At the Ecology Camp, children study the relationship between organisms and the environment. Kids enjoy nature hikes, art projects, and experiments throughout the week while learning about the environment.
We want to empower them with the ability to be able to help the environment and teach others just through basic, ongoing daily activities.
Children become ecology kids by helping wildlife, planting trees and gardens, and gaining an appreciation for nature.
Well, we learn about ecosystems, how animals react in the food chain, pretty much about how animals hunt and how birds find their prey and stuff.
Last summer, during the program's first year, participants encountered some excitement when they found a pregnant female garter snake.
And we realized that she was giving birth on that particular morning, and it was quite an interesting experience for all of us. And she gave birth to 47 baby garter snakes. And following that, we had each student, if they wanted to get involved, take several of those, and we released those snakes into the surrounding habitat.
Well, that's a wrap on June 1993, a week that took us from prehistoric digs to pool championships, pizza bike rides, even a historic trip. We looked back at a walk for justice, talked fireworks safety, and learned about a snake with a secret. You can catch new episodes of The Vault every week right here on WTOL 11+, streaming on your TV anytime. I'm Dan Cummins. Until next time, be kind and rewind and keep those lawn chairs ready.